Oh, a very good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us on time. Welcome. And it is the National Family Festival 2025. It's also the June holidays right now. So, of course, I think we've all had a good time, resting, taking a break, traveling, and spending time with our family. So, welcome once again to our session this evening, and this is our session. Apparently, it is an official event of the National Family Festival 2025. And our title for today is Bonding with Your Parents and Grands as They Grow Older. It is brought to you by Grander Together. And a little bit about Grander Together. Well, and apparently, it is a series of panel discussions between people across generations, bringing their professional or personal perspectives to help strengthen intergenerational families. And we are very, very happy and pleased to receive the partnership and support of various organizations that includes Fei Yue, Families for Life, Moms for Life, Dads for Life, SG Families, and this is in support of SG Made for Families. A little bit about Grander Together. We aim to cultivate stronger intergenerational families in Singapore. It is an initiative of Cultivate SG. Now, on to our panelists for today. Our first panelist is Miss Wong Wan Yi. She is a senior social worker at Fei Yue Community Services, bringing heartfelt dedication to the sectors of eldercare, palliative care, family casework, and counselling. Driven by a deep belief in the power of relationships, she is committed to supporting families and building more compassionate communities. Abdul Hamid bin Abdullah is our other panelist, and Abdul Hamid is a director of Cultivate SG, a board member of National Healthcare Group, and an active volunteer in a number of charities and NGOs. Since his retirement from the Auditor General's office in 2017 at age 62, he has four children and a grandson. So these are our panelists for this evening. And without further ado, I would like to hand the time over to Wan Yi, who will present to us about this particular topic. Wan Yi, please.
Thank you, Darius. Give me some time to share my screen. Okay, so like what Darius mentioned just now, I'll be sharing a bit about intergenerational bonding. So this is what my list of content today will look like. So firstly, I will share a little bit about social work and psychology theories on the relevance of intergenerational bonding and how it can help seniors to age better. And secondly is what are some of the challenges that we might face in having intergenerational bonding. And number three is then what are some of the things that we can do to help our family to bond. And then next, I'll be sharing a little bit about my experience and reflections in my own family and what we can learn from others. Like, for example, some YouTube videos that I thought would be helpful. And number six, what I've learned from my clients as a social worker for 8 years. So I'll be going into the theories first. So Eric Erikson is a psychoanalyst. He asserted that in later life, for example, for seniors above the age of 60, individuals seek a sense of ego integrity, which is a feeling that one's life has been meaningful. Without this, older adults may fall into a sense of regret or a sense of despair. So as such, family bonds help in terms of preventing emotional isolation, identity confusion, and unresolved grief or regrets. So one tip is to ask your elders at home about their life stories. For example, a story when they were in their youth, what are the struggles or lessons or values they want to pass down. Seeing their impact on younger generations affirm elders' sense of legacy and meaning. So another second theory I would like to share with you all is the continuity theory, which is by Robert Archley. He is American sociologist. So he believes that older adults thrive when they can maintain a sense of continuity in their values, their identity, and their roles throughout their life, which helps to maintain their purpose in life. So what we can do that would be helpful is to invite our elders to contribute by, for example, being a mentor in teaching a skill or giving advices. So the next topic that I'll be touching on is then what are some of the challenges that we might face in intergenerational bonding. So, in my experience of working with seniors and even in my own grandma, right, they are very considerate towards their children and grandchildren. So they tend to not want to bother or trouble their children knowing that they are busy. Or sometimes some of the elderly that I've met through the years, they can become quieter because they prefer peace and quiet, some of them. And as a result, they might not be as willing to engage in different kinds of conversations. And sometimes I hear from their children that they are also not sure what to talk about with their elderly parents anymore. So one thing I find really helpful is called reminiscence therapy, which is, for example, you can reflect with them on the old days, look at their photos or just materials of the olden days to kickstart conversation topics. Other barriers that I encounter can be very real, like time. All of us are very busy, so time management can be a problem. Emotional and past conflicts can also be a problem. Yeah, and some seniors they also scared to trouble their children if they have mobility issues, like they prefer staying at home because they think that it's more convenient, or they don't want to spend their children's money by going out. I mean, these are some of the accounts that seniors tell me or my own grandma tell me when they don't want to go out as often. But most of the time, I find that they will always enjoy time spent with children and their grandchildren. So moving forward, right, what are some of the practical things that we can do? And what is the next step that we can do to encourage bonding within intergenerations? So this is my encouragement to you if you're a senior here, which is to just share your stories and share your life. Share how have you been feeling through the week with your children and grandchildren. You all also can consider trying something new together and be curious to ask about their interests or to find an activity that can blend both of your worlds. For example, watching a YouTube video or Netflix show that both of you like. And also to suggest simple bonding moments. For example, inviting them for simple meals. And it doesn't have to be a big event. It can be having a short chat at home. And to start small by giving a hug or saying, I miss you, such things can open doors. And to also create rituals like a weekly coffee chat or a hobby, like for example, gardening or cooking together. So for adult children and grandchildren, um, what I identify is a balance, to balance between engaging elders in their hobbies and interests versus caregiving. So to encourage active and healthy aging. So for example, as we care for our elderly parents, we can be looking at them through the eyes of a caregiver, but we also try to encourage them to do the things that that they can still do, so to promote active aging. And to also speak our seniors' love language. So for example, if their love language is being acts of service, so we can also help around the house or to refill their medicine box. That is also a form of showing love. And to also simply use words to say what we wish we have said. For example, saying thank you for raising me, I appreciate you, can really do a lot in bonding your between you and your elders. And what I find helpful is to start small and be intentional. So it's not about the grand gestures, it's about consistency more than the intensity. So we can have regular check-ins through the phone or just dropping off short texts or dropping off a favorite snack actually helps to build relational trust over time. And to create purposeful roles, meaning you can ask your elders for help or opinions on example parenting, on life choices. It invites collaboration rather than passive observation. We can also invite our elders to teach us something like a traditional dish or a forgotten language or a dialect, and they can become our mentors. And also in our conversation with our elders, we can be curious and not just dutiful. So what I mean is, for example, we can, instead of asking, have you eaten? We can ask something like, what is something you have always wanted to try but never got the chance? We can also bridge the tech divide by helping them to navigate WhatsApp, YouTube, or game apps so that they can stay connected and entertained. Another is to celebrate intergenerational moments. For example, starting intergeneration traditions on anniversaries or birthday by having cooking together from old recipes. So I'll be sharing a little bit about my own family. My father and I, we try to spend time with my paternal grandmother at least once every week. So the three of us will go to her house and spend time with her. We will also try, so me and my parents, we also try to travel together and also try food from different places especially on special occasions like birthdays and recently Father's Day as well. So other than being a daughter, granddaughter, and a wife, I'm also a caregiver for my grandmother. So other than my domestic helper, I'm the main family caregiver for her. So I visit her about twice a week. I'm really close and attached to her. And she was also why I wanted to choose elder care when I'm in social work. So I would like to share some reflections I have while being close to my grandma and being in my family. I find that quality time is very important to help to foster a close bond and to help seniors feel connected and feel supported. And I find that this intergenerational bond plays a key role in aging well, not just, it's beyond just physical care. And on the right, you see like a picture of a seesaw. So in my reflection, I think about having the need to be balanced between in three areas. So the first area is to balance between letting my grandma have her way and versus encouraging her to be more engaged. So for example, my grandmother, she does not like to go out. She prefers to be at home, but I will try to encourage her and just bring her out of the house to hopefully fill her days with more fun and to bring her out more. The second thing that I would like to that I reflected in balancing, right, is balancing her sense of independence with supporting her. So meaning, I think as a granddaughter and as a caregiver, it can be different. We can play different roles. So for example, as a caregiver, I might find it easy to just take over everything to help her do things, right, including her own activities of daily living. But I felt that it would be helpful if I would also encourage her to do what she still can do. And the third area of balancing is to also balance between spending time with my family, with my grandmother, while also making time for my other commitments like my work, my social life, and also self-care, my own rest time. I thought I would share like 2 videos on what we can learn from others in terms of having ideas on how to have bonding within our own family. So this is a really adorable and fun-loving pair of grandson and granddaughter. So as you can see in the video, the grandma is holding a ping pong ball, right? So they are having fun, having trick shots with the ping pong ball. Y'all can take a look.
Ball is life.
Well, good morning, Grandma.
Oh, good morning.
Hey! Oh!
Hallelujah.
Hey, you know what we call this next shot?
What is it?
The creepy basement shot.
Yeah, so this is a short clip about how we can have games to play together at home and to even create something together, like creating a video together that can introduce fun and bonding at home. The next video I would like to share is even though it's a video mainly solely in Chinese, but the idea that I want to bring across through this video is it's a very closely knitted family where the grandson is a content creator, so his hobby is making YouTube videos. But what I really like about this video that I want to share with us tonight is I was really very touched to see how warm-hearted this family is. Like, so for example, the grandson used his talent in music and content and making videos to engage the whole family together to cover a song to appreciate the grandmother. So the grandmother's son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren are all involved in this together. You can take a look.
奶奶，我是你的小媳妇，我是你最美的孙女，喜欢吃你煮的饭，一碗又一碗。
我是你的乖儿子，我是你的小乖孙，不管风雨有多少，都会把你保护好。你笑起来真好看，像春天的花一样，把所有的烦恼、所有的忧愁，统统都吹散。
我笑起来真好看，像夏天的阳光，整个世界幸福的时光，美得像花田。
啦啦啦啦啦啦，
La 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 la.
Yeah, so that's just one part of the song that I want to share with you guys. Yeah. So the next thing that I want to share is from my clients. In my work with my clients, I saw how it can be very heartwarming to see how in my social work journey, how children bond with their elderly parents. So one story I would like to share is I have this elderly client. He always liked writing songs. So he wrote a lot of songs when he was a youth or when he was in his younger days. And he always loved music all his life. So because of this, the son was thinking about an idea on how to appreciate the father. So he actually organized a family concert party to celebrate and appreciate the father together. So how he did it was he wrote songs for the father, and he also, during the concert, he performed the songs for the father, and he even the son covered the songs that the father wrote to just organize a family event where everyone come together to enjoy the father's creation in music and just to spend time together to appreciate the father together. I thought that was very brilliant and creative. The next one is I have a client. Whenever I visit him and ask how he is, he will share with me that he really look forward to weekends every week. Like it is his highlight and something that he looking forward that will bring him joy every week. So what happens on the weekend is his daughter and his son-in-law would bring him to different parts of Singapore to have good food every weekend. So I think this is something that all of us in Singapore can relate to, right? Having good food is one of our way to pass time. So I think this is a very good idea to use food as a way of bonding. The next is to have a weekly routine to spend time together with our elders, which is, for example, to attend a religious activity together, for example, to attend church together or go to temples together. Yeah, so that's the end of my sharing. So I will pass my time back to Darius.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Wan Yi, for your sharing, and thank you for all the insights that you've shared. Now, at the bottom of your screen on your Zoom, you have a Q&A button that you can click, and I see that there are quite a few questions already right there. So if you have any questions from any of the presentations, or you have any burning questions, perhaps from your own life, your own experience, or anything that you would like our panelists to address, please feel free to ask your questions. Just type them in the Q&A box right below. And so right now, I'll hand the time over to Hamid, who will share with us on this topic about bonding with our parents and our grands as they get older. So over to you, Hamid.
Hi, 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 everybody. Thank you for your attendance to my session on Grander Together, bonding with your parents and grands as they grow older. Firstly, I would just like, sorry for the typo error, should be they grow older. Firstly, before I share with you some very simple tips, based on my own lived experience, I like to stress that bonding don't start in schools. It doesn't start when you're already an adult. It does not start when you are working. It does not start when you are at a later stage of life as adults. I always stress that when we talk about bonding with the parents, as a parent, it has to start from birth. In other words, when the child is born, when you're still small, school children, and so forth. And many grandparents love to play with their grandchildren. That's where the bonding really starts. And when the children has grown up, bonding should not stop just because they are now teenagers or have become young adults. It has to be a continuous process. It provides different challenges, but still the need for bonding is always there. And when your parents and your children has married, like in my case, which I will share my experience later, they have their own children, and when we become grandparents ourselves, bonding does not stop. We still have to continue to bond. So let me just share with you some of the simple ways in which you bond. I have only 7 simple tips to share, and these are based on common sense. Yeah, it doesn't require you to be very highly educated to know these tips, but people take it for granted. The first tip is meet regularly together. Very important. And when you meet, it does not have to be meeting at festive occasions or at special occasions, anytime. And meeting in today's context will also include telephone calls, virtual meetings, conferences, and so forth. So meet regularly, and I know that many adults, because they are actually very busy, they only meet once a week, perhaps on weekends. That's also regularly. But important thing then is that I like to stress that meeting is not just for the sake of meeting. It has to be purposeful. You meet intentionally, emotionally, of wanting to bond with your parents or your grandparents. In other words, there must be a sense of love, trust, understanding, and so forth. And when we meet, I always like to stress that having meals together is a very important starting point. Many conversations begin over meals, and meals actually helps to trigger love and friendship. We can talk about food. We can talk about various other things associated with food. Another way, a very simple tip, go for outing together. Don't just meet in the house or have meals together. Once in a while, when time permits, bring your grandpa and your parents to go out to the field, or at least if you can afford it, to have a short vacation at the nearby countries. In fact, vacation or outing involves traveling. And traveling is actually a good way of learning and bonding, because by traveling, you would have an opportunity to interact not just with your own parents, but with other people as well. Play games together, common sense, isn't it? And I know that many grandpas and grandmas like to play simple games with their children. But as they grow older, they play adult games, perhaps badmintons, or they could just play football where you saw the movie ping pongs and so forth. Why not go to the movie, the cinemas, and enjoy shows together? That's one way to create bonding. And of course, the other simple tip is that you always celebrate birthdays and festive occasions together. There's a Father's Day 2 days ago. We should have the opportunity to actually celebrate Father's Days, Mother's Days, Children's Days. There are many occasions besides our normal religious festivals like Christmas, Hari Raya, Deepavali, and so forth. I always celebrate birthdays with my children, not just birthdays of children, but birthday of grandpa, grandma, so forth, and every day. And we know that in life's not always smooth running. We would have time and again, some of us might fall sick, they may be hospitalized. So it's very important when such events occur, you should not miss visiting them at clinics and hospitals and so forth. In fact, based on my own experience, my last visit to my mother is when he was hospitalized and it was the last days. She died in the hospital. These are very simple tips for bonding. I have mentioned to you how important it is for bonding to start early. Look, this is me with my wife and 4 children. I have 1 daughter and 3 sons. They are now adults, working adults. Right on the left is my mother, the grandmother. When we go out, for instance, as this picture shows, we do not go out just as a family, but more as intergenerational family. We bring our grandma and grandpas along with us to be part of the family. And the children also love it. This is one way of strengthening bonds, strengthening family ties, for example. And when the children have grown up and have a family of their own, don't forget, here, my son has his own son, a grandson. And there you see my mother, all right? We are together in this. When we have a child, a grandson born to the family, it brings our family closer together. It is true, we are very happy to have an additional person in the family. Bonding is important, and even my child, my son, and he's an adult at this age, we still treat him like my own little child. Now, that's my son and my grandson. Well, this is the latest photograph, and my grandson is only less than 2 years old. I would have the experience of singing growing up, and I wish I would live long enough. I'm 70 years old, and my wish is to see my grandson grown up, married, and also have his own children. Would that be possible? I should think so. Thank you very much for listening. That's all I'd like to share. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, so thank you very much. And so let's come back to this Q&A segment, and I see that there are quite a number of questions right now in the Q&A. So why not let's just go right into them. And I think I'll ask both panelists this particular question, the first question on that list, and it goes like this. My father turned 70 recently. My wife and I brought him out for a dinner that cost around $100 per person. It was a good dinner, but when he found out about the cost the next day, he got angry and said, "Don't waste money." He doesn't want to hear my explanation that I want to have a big celebration for him at 70. What should I do? Okay, so let's pass the time to Wan Yi first and then Hamid. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. I think it's very common to hear that seniors don't want to waste the money of the children, because that's what I commonly hear from my grandmother as well. I think what I would do if I'm in this person's shoes is that I would first think about what is the intention behind my father when he got angry. So most likely is he cares about my hard-earned money. He cares for me lah. So I think coming from that, it might help me to understand him better, and become more patient towards him when managing his anger, when facing his anger. And I think and to ask myself then what would uh uh like moving forward, right, in the future when celebrating birthdays or thinking where to bring him on weekends, I would then invite my father to to suggest, like, oh, so what places would you want to go? What food would you like to eat? Or how about, oh, next weekend you'll be the one who plan where to go next. How about for your 71st birthday, you can plan what you want to do, and I will help you to implement your birthday plan. So things like that. I think maybe coming from that approach, maybe we can come up with a plan easier that will make everyone more happy. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Hamid, any thoughts?
Well, this is a very interesting question. I have not experienced such incident or event before, because when we go out, we don't spend much also, always at the hawker center. You don't have to go bring anybody to a restaurant or to a luxurious things like that. Grandparents are already very thankful and helpful as long as they can have meals together, even in a coffee shop. That happens to my mother. We pleased just to have a simple hawker's meal and be together. That's the one thing. But let's say, based on this particular scenario, okay, take it as it is. If I were in that shoes, in his shoes, and he's got angry, I would apologize. I would say, sorry, sorry, Papa, I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to anything. We have all this with good intention. And Papa, I promise you, the next time when we go out for dinner, I will bear this in mind, that we should not spend too much on food. All right. What's important, Papa? We know that we want to spend our time together over meals. And food does not necessarily mean that we will be happy. Now, to admit the mistake or to confess, I think is something that we ought to have the humility or ability. All right, it means that we empathize with our this our father's feelings and situation, and it also means that we are not egoistic, and we admit that we are in the wrong, even though at the very start we thought what we did is the right thing. We want to give the best big celebration for him, but since he's not appreciative, don't seem happy about it, all right, I will not harp on it, all right, I will just, sorry, Papa, I didn't mean, I will, bear in mind, it's a lesson learned for us, and hopefully that would improve on our relationship and goodwill. What is important, as far as I'm concerned, is whether our relationship building gets affected because of such an incident. And I think we have to take immediate action to correct the situation. Otherwise, it becomes, a grievance that he will keep throughout all his life, right? And things like that. Well, that's part of my culture. In fact, in my Malay culture, we tend to apologize quite easily. Sorry. Sorry is the word that we often use, and I think we should not be too hard about it. That's all I think I just have to say about this. But I said I've not gone through this incident in my life. It has not happened and will never happen, because I don't spend more than $100 per person at any dinner.
I'm wondering,
even with
what
my
if,
the parents.
let's say, maybe like your son decides to surprise you when you turn 70 and brings you out to a really expensive dinner? Are you going to react the same way? What will you do?
I would not react. I would say to my son, "Thank you very much for your, for your treat." All right. But I like to also give my views that we should be prudent. It's very important that we should exercise financial prudence. Not that I'm happy or angry with you. In fact, I'm grateful that you thought about me and you wanted to have a big celebration. But I feel it's my duty to say what I need to say because it is part of inculcating values, values of prudence, values in terms of financial, how, because I basically have a life of encouraging savings, all right? I know what it means because when I grew up from a poor family and it means a lot. So even if you want to spend within limits, all right, of what you can and be mindful of what the other party, of how would react. It does not necessarily the more expensive the food, the more gracious the place, the happier they will be. You may think otherwise in this particular incident. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How can I balance my work commitments, taking care of my children, and bonding with my aging parents? So I think this is coming from somebody who's working and taking care of children and also has aging parents. So Wan Yi, your thoughts?
Okay, the first thought that comes to my mind is I don't have children yet, so maybe Hamid can answer this better. But I try to imagine lah, or to give what I perceive. I think one point that stood out for me was to start small. For example, if a weekly basis or more is too frequent, which maybe can start with phone calls or monthly visits first. Just an example on the frequency lah, like what works best for this person. And taking care of my children and bonding, I thought it can be a together thing, like just like also can allow your aging parents to be involved in the grandparenting, to spend time together, like all the three generations together under one roof, or like maybe during weekend visits. And I think most importantly is also to self-care, to note that you also need time to rest yourself before you can have before you can have the energy to also spend time or to sow into others people's lives. Yeah.
Derek, this is a very interesting question. I think every one of us with a working parents, father or mother, all right, with the aging parents will probably have this issue about balancing work commitments, taking care of the children, and bonding with the aging parents. I would say that for my case, from my own experience, I would play a more facilitating role, and that is to encourage my aging parents to bond with my children. They will be happy to be babysitters, to take care of their own grandchildren. It depends on, of course, the physical condition of the parents. When you talk about aging, how old are they? Do you mean? All right. But if they are, have some physical disability, that would be a problem. But in most cases, the parents, I would say the aging parents are retirees, as in my case. In other words, they are no longer employed. They are in their retirement days, and they have time. They have time to bond with their grandchildren, more time than their own children who is working. And I'm quite sure they'll be very pleased to spend time with the children, to take care of the children while the parents go to work or have work commitments. All right. I know that from my friends, they tend to bring the children to child care centers, to whom that, and to me, that's not a good thing. If you have parents, aging parents, or it's okay, we should try to encourage bonding within the children. I also discourage, well, it's easier said than done. Many working adults left the children to the maids. Many children now have foreign maids, and I don't like. And in fact, just to be frank to you, I don't have foreign maids. Basically because they would bring in different set of values into the family. There are certain values that we want to inculcate, encourage, and some of these maids have their own social habits, and we are away. They will bring their children to interact with their neighbors, even their own mates, all right? And that would create not a good influence for my children as they grow up. So I still prefer my own parents to take care of the children because they understand better what kind of values you want to demonstrate. And values are demonstrated from actions, not just words, from how they behave, from how they speak to the children, and so forth. So how do we balance? It's a balancing role, and I would say that I would do, firstly, facilitate the bonding process between my aging parents and my own children. Even my own children, when they are toddlers, in fact, they love playing with their grandmas and grandpas rather than parents. Somehow, right? Grandmas and grandpas are good storytellers. We are very busy with our own work, we're preoccupied, all right? We do not have, the patience to tell stories. But aging parents or parents, because they have lived very long, they have more experiences to share. Their childhood days, and even how they cope with any conflict with their own children and the parents. Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I think we should probably spend more time on this, but I guess we should go on to the next question in view of the
Okay.
time constraint.
Sure, thanks. Okay, now I saw one question that I think is quite interesting and also important to deal with. So this question is the one with okay, it's asked by Hui Ming. And my mom has mild dementia. We get to meet her once a week. My teens are always on their devices, didn't spend much time with her. Any suggestions to get them to bond with grandma? When they were younger, it's easier to get them to play with her. I'm wondering if Wan Yi have any thoughts on this particular question?
Let me read the question again. My mom has mild dementia. We get to meet her once a week. My teens are mm, mm, I would say to tap on the teens' interest. It seems like their interest is on their devices. I'm not sure whether there are any simple games that can be on tablets that can also engage your mom who has mild dementia, because simple games can also be a form of cognitive stimulation for your mom. So I would think such common games between your teens and mom can be one way. Another, since they are on their devices, not sure whether if is their outings, can it be a way that is easier for the teens not to be so focused on the devices when they are outside? Like, for example, trying out restaurants outside, or going to certain parks outside, a common activity. And also generally to encourage your teens to, during family bonding time, is it possible to also encourage them not to put their phones away just for that period of time? Yeah. I'll continue thinking while Hamid answer next. Yeah. If I got things to add on, I'll add on later.
Okay, Hamid, any thoughts on this one?
All right. This is also an interesting question. Not only teens are always on the device, even the young children too. Nowadays, I'm quite shocked that even youngsters less than 6 years old are already on their phones, smartphones, and I think it is not a good trend. I'm not sure how we can address this, but definitely such devices can do a lot more harm than good if they are spending too much screening time on the devices. All right. Since we get to meet mom once a week and she has a mild dementia, I would start by advising my young teens, put your devices away. I will scold them, all right? I will have to stress the importance that we're here to meet mom in dementia. Let's spend more time talking to your mom, all right? And not on the devices. And I hope that advice would be taken well by the teens. I think they are big enough to understand where I'm coming from when I say that you should not be spending on your devices when we visit your mom only once a year. It is time for bonding. We understand that when you're younger, your mom can be part of playing with the devices as well. There are, toys and so forth, and to get the mom when you have mild dementia, I think the best way is to have a personal touch. And personal touch can only comes about there is no distraction, no interruption. And I feel it's important that you do not be on the devices when you meet their mom. I will scold them if they do. But not in front of my mom, but just let them know it's not the right thing to do. Again, when we say do, it's about the values.
Yeah, indeed. Now, Wani, any further
Yeah,
thoughts on
I
this
was just
particular topic?
brainstorming while Hamid was talking, right? I think common interest still comes up for me. Like, are there any board games that board games is more tangible, right? It's easier for your mom to be engaged rather than a screen. And I know teens also like to play board games generally. So not sure whether y'all can find any board games that can interest both your mom and your teens. But it's not necessarily a board game that you need to buy. You all can self-create also. I mean, on the internet, there are a lot of ideas of very simple materials coming up with board games together. And also, just now I had an idea, it slipped my mind. It slipped my mind, but I think and okay, so because I'm thinking, right, if the teens have a better understanding of your mom, likely they would want to invest in the relationship more when they feel like they can relate better to the grandma. So I'm thinking as the middleman, right? You know both of them well, both sides well. You know both your elderly mom and your children well. I'm thinking whether you can be the facilitator in their conversations. You see yourself as a facilitator for family bonding between your mom and your teenage children. So you can, knowing your mom, you know her interest when she was younger, you know her life when she was younger. Maybe you can use those as a topics to invite your mom to share more in front of the grandchildren, and then encourage the grandchildren also to engage your mom on a conversational level. Maybe that would spark mutual understanding of each other, and that will help them to be more open to their grandma in the future while spending time with her. Yeah, likely they also don't know what to talk about with your mom. That's why they tend to choose the easier way out, which is to do their own things lah. But if there is already a bond, if there are conversations or things about your mom that they know, they might find it easier to engage her in the future as well. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thanks. Now, we're running out of time, so I'll take two questions at a time, and these are quite related. So the first one is this: should I aim to spend equal amounts of time with my own parents and my in-laws? Is there any problem if I spend time only with my own parents and leave my wife to be with my in-laws? And the other question is also related. My parents wish to spend time with their adult children and their families. The challenge we often face is how to distribute our parents' time between my siblings. Okay, so one of the questions is about, let's say, my own parents and my in-laws. Should I spend equal amounts of time with them? And then the other question is about, I have my parents and they want to spend time with, myself and my siblings and everything like that? How do you distribute them? Now, Hamid, I'm wondering if you have any thoughts, and then Wan Yi, and I think we'll need to close right after that.
Yeah, my view is that, all right, it is not a big issue, especially based on my own lived experience. We always had a big gathering, a gathering of families. The in-laws, my parents, my cousins, nieces, nephews, all gathered together, all right, at one place and be together, have meals together. So there's no issue of dividing our time, that I have to spend time exclusively with my in-laws, or I have to spend time exclusively with my parents. We spend time together as one big families. It helps in intergenerational bonding. At the same time, we are building relationships with relatives and so forth. So we often had a big gathering. I would have photographs to share with you how it happened, and we are always happy to meet in-laws, parents, grandparents, everybody together under one roof. And usually there'll be someone who would volunteer. Now it's my turn to host. Come and gather at my place. And that could be my, sister-in-law who volunteered and so forth. Perhaps it is part of our culture. We are not individualistic. We think about, everybody coming together. All right, so there's no question of having to spend equal time between such and such segments of the family. All right, and it's good way, but I'm not sure about other cultures whether they would do it that way, the same way as my family do.
Thanks. Wan Yi, any thoughts on this one?
I think because I'm a social worker, right, where I see family with all kinds, I see different clients with different kind of family dynamics. So I'm not sure whether these questions come from a place where, for example, the one that the challenge we often face is how to distribute our parents' time between my siblings. Not sure, is it because there are also conflicts among different siblings? That's why, the ideal way of everybody gathering together isn't that straightforward. So but of course that would be the best way for the parents, right, is to see their children being united as well, is to see that their children having a good relationship with each other as well. But if that is really not possible, not that pleasant because of the existing conflicts, I'm thinking maybe instead of a weekly affair, it can be a yearly or bi-yearly affair, just for the children to come together for the sake of the parents to fulfill their wish of seeing the children together. But if that is really out of the question because maybe it's an estranged relationship between the siblings, then is to have a family discussion on how getting the siblings to agree together, like how do they want to spend time with the parents? Like, is it like everybody take turns every week or something like that? So there needs to be a family communication as a team for this specific case. And for the next question on should I spend equal amount of times with my own parents and in-laws? Is there any problem if I spend only with my parents and with my wife? I think this one, it also concerns the marriage, right, between the husband and the wife. It's also something that the husband and wife as a family unit should discuss and decide on, such that both the husband and the wife's needs are met, so that this won't be a problem for the marriage moving forward. And also, of course, like what Hamid said, right, it's ideal if everyone can come together. It's ideal that as much time can spend together on both sides. But if there are any problems relationally also, I think it can be a separate thing. So for example, like it goes back to what the couple agrees on, right? So if the wife is okay for the husband to not have exactly 50% of time, then is it okay if, example, for myself and my husband, right? We are okay if we meet at least once per month for each in-law side. but also giving grace. Let's say if my husband is really tired and he don't want to, for that 1 month he is so tired he can't visit my side of family. I'm okay also. I'm very understanding as long as I know that he cares for my family, which he definitely does. Then that's okay for me. But for myself, I would avail myself at least once per month to have dinner with my in-laws. So I think it really boils down to what is the couple's discussion and agreement. But ideally, I would think that spending time with in-laws is important part of our family life, because is doing life together as a couple also. And doing life as a couple also involves doing life together with our own, with each other's family members as well. Yeah.
Okay, sounds like a good note to end on. So it's about doing life with each other's family members, with the extended family. And I think so this is not just about spending time with your own parents and grandparents, but also with in-laws and grandparents-in-law and so on and so forth if they are still around. So thank you very much to Hamid and to Wan Yi once again. So let me share my screen and let's show you some final details. So here we go. Now, on my screen right here, you can see a QR code that you can scan. And if you'd like to follow Granted Together, if you'd like to go to our Facebook page, if you'd like to go to our Telegram group and find further updates, please feel free to do so. If you'd like to go to our YouTube channel and check out previous webinars and the recordings of that, please also check it out right there. As you exit this particular Zoom meeting, there will be a feedback form that will appear on your screen after you sign out. So please take a few moments to fill out that feedback form. That will really help us to serve you better and to address any kind of concerns and any kind of needs that you have. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you for participating so actively and have a very good night. Please remember, spend time with your parents, grandparents, as well as the in-laws, and take the time to really appreciate your family. So thank you very much once again, and good night.